Have you ever just stopped and wondered, why some people seem to just get money, like they attract financial success, while you might feel like you're running hard but hitting a wall?
Oh, absolutely. That feeling is so common. Like there's some sort of secret,
Right.
but it's usually not some hidden conspiracy.
Right, not like secret handshakes or anything.
No, no, it's often much deeper. It's about how people think, their ingrained beliefs that shape their financial reality.
Okay, so let's really dig into that today. We're going deep on T. Harv Eker's book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. It argues pretty strongly that your financial success isn't just about, budgets and investments, but your whole psychology around money.
Exactly. So our mission here isn't just to give you a book report. We want to pull out the core mindsets, the key strategies that Eker says millionaires use.
The secrets, so to speak.
Yeah, the secret. So you can look at your own internal money programming, what Eker calls the money blueprint, and figure out maybe how to tweak it for, well, better results, more abundance.
And the key takeaway really is that it's not meant to be about luck. It's about understanding your inner game and then consciously changing it.
So the book's big idea is that people who get wealthy just fundamentally think differently about money, about success, compared to, say, the average person.
That's the core premise, yeah. There are these fundamental differences in their internal framework.
Like what specifically?
Well, one big one is this idea of abundance versus scarcity. Do you genuinely believe there's enough opportunity out there for everyone, or is it a constant fight for limited resources?
Yeah, like when you're negotiating something, are you thinking win-win or I have to grab my piece before it's gone?
Exactly. That belief shows up in small actions every day. And that abundance thinking often leads to being more willing to take, smart risks, calculated risks.
And seeing opportunities maybe where others just see problems.
And it's usually backed by a strong sense of self-worth, confidence in their own abilities.
Okay, and this all comes back to the money blueprint you mentioned. What actually forms that? Where does it come from?
Think of it like your financial operating system. It's the default programming that kind of runs your thoughts, feelings, and actions around money.
So it's installed early on.
The book argues, yes, largely in childhood. It's what you were told about money, what you saw your parents or role models do, any significant emotional events tied to finances.
Okay. So if you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees or seeing constant arguments about bills, that gets baked in.
That gets baked in. And Ecker suggests this blueprint basically sets your financial thermostat. It determines the level of success you're comfortable with subconsciously.
Like an upper limit.
Sort of, yeah. But the good news, the really empowering part, is that he says you can reset that thermostat. You can become aware of the blueprint, challenge it, and actively reprogram it.
That leads perfectly into that metaphor he uses, the roots and fruits one. If you want to change the fruits, you have to change the roots. I like that.
It's a great visual, isn't it? Your financial results, the fruits, are just a reflection of what's going on inside, your thoughts, feelings, beliefs about money. Those are the roots.
So tinkering with the surface stuff, like a new budget app, isn't enough if the underlying beliefs, the roots, are still geared towards lack or struggle.
Precisely. You've got to go deeper. The book contrasts what it calls a poverty mindset. Beliefs like money is dirty or rich people are greedy with a wealth mindset.
Which makes sense. I mean, how can you really strive to become wealthy if deep down you think being wealthy is somehow bad or immoral? That's a huge internal conflict.
Exactly. It creates subconscious resistance. You might sabotage yourself without even realizing it. Whereas the wealth mindset sees money positively as a tool, sees opportunities everywhere, and is okay with taking smart risks.
And the book is clear that we can actually change those limiting beliefs. It's not fixed.
Absolutely not fixed. It starts with awareness, just noticing those negative thoughts when they pop up. Then consciously questioning them. Is that belief really true? What if I chose a different belief? And then actively replacing it.
Okay. Now, what about this idea of declarations, making these bold statements about your financial goals? It sounds a bit, well, woo-woo maybe.
I get that reaction, yeah. But if you look at the psychology, it's really about focused intention and affirmation. When you declare something clearly, confidently, you're sending a strong signal to your subconscious. You're reinforcing the belief that it's possible.
So it's less about magic and more about programming your own mind, making your goals feel more real and solid.
Exactly. It builds commitment. And it can start to chip away at those old limiting beliefs we were just talking about, the ones that might be holding you back subconsciously.
Does community play a role here? The book mentions surrounding yourself with supportive people.
Oh, massively. Your environment is huge. If you're around people who are also striving, who believe in abundance, who encourage you, that reinforces your own positive mindset. It makes a big
Okay,
difference.
so we've got the mindset foundation, the roots and fruits, declarations. Now, Eker gets really specific with these 17 wealth files. This is where he contrasts the thinking directly.
Yes, exactly. These are like 17 distinct points of comparison, showing how wealthy people supposedly think and act differently than those who struggle financially. It's very much a side-by-side look.
All right, let's tackle the first batch, the ones really focused on mindset. Wealth file, #1. I create my life versus life happens to me. That feels huge, foundational.
It really is. It's about taking ownership. People who believe I create my life see themselves as being in control, responsible for the results, good or bad. They have an internal locus of control.
Whereas the life happens to me view means you see yourself as more of a victim of circumstances, blaming the economy, your boss, bad luck.
hmm There's often that tendency to look outside for reasons instead of looking at their own choices and actions.
Okay, wealth file, #2. Play the money game to win versus play not to lose. Big difference in approach there.
Yeah, it's about your primary motivation. Playing to win means your goal is growth, abundance, wealth creation. You set big goals, you take those calculated risks.
And playing not to lose is more defensive, like just trying to hang on to what you have, focused on security above all else.
Exactly. It's about avoiding pain rather than seeking gain. And that caution, while sometimes wise, can really limit your upside potential.
Wealth file, #3. Committed to being rich versus wanting to be rich. Commitment versus just wishing.
Such a key distinction. Wanting is passive. Commitment, according to Eker, is active. It means you're all in, you'll do what it takes, ethically, of course, and you won't give up easily.
It's a deeper level of resolve that actually drives your behavior, not just a fleeting desire.
Precisely. It's aligning everything, thoughts, actions, energy towards that goal with real conviction.
Follow #4. Think big versus think small. Seems related to the scale of your ambition.
Directly. The book argues your financial success often mirrors the size of your thinking. Thinking big means aiming for bigger goals, bigger impact. Often this ties into providing more value. Solving bigger problems for more people usually leads to bigger rewards.
And if you limit your thinking, you automatically limit your potential results. Makes sense.
Yeah. Small thoughts tend to lead to small actions, small outcomes.
Well file, #5. Focus on opportunities versus focus on obstacles. That feels like a choice you make every single day, sometimes every minute.
It really is. The wealthy mindset described in the book is geared towards spotting potential. They look for the possibilities even when things look difficult. Failures are seen as learning opportunities.
Right, instead of getting bogged down by the problem, they look for the way forward, the lesson, the pivot.
Exactly. It's about what your mental filter is set to find. Problems or solutions.
File #6. Admire other rich and successful people versus resent rich and successful people. This one hits on our emotional baggage around money.
Big time. Eker argues that admiring success creates positive energy. You can learn from those people, be inspired by them. It shows you what's possible.
Whereas resentment, well, that just breeds negativity.
Yeah?
And how can you become something you resent? It creates that internal block again.
Exactly. It puts up a wall. You're subconsciously saying, I don't want to be like them, which makes it hard to adopt the mindsets that might lead to similar success.
Wealth file, #7. Associate with positive, successful people versus associate with negative, unsuccessful people. The whole, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with idea.
Pretty much. The energy, the conversations, the beliefs of your inner circle, they rub off on you, whether you realize it or not. Positive people can lift you up.
And negative or constantly struggling people can, even unintentionally, pull you down or reinforce limiting beliefs.
Right. So the advice is to be conscious about who you allow to influence your thinking and energy.
Okay, file #8. Willing to promote themselves and their value versus think negatively about selling and promotion. This is a tough one for a lot of people, myself included sometimes.
It really is. Selling has negative connotations for many, but the book frames it differently. If you truly believe in the value you offer, your product, your service, yourself, then promoting it isn't sleazy, it's actually a service. You're letting people know how you can help them.
So reframing it as confidently communicating your value, not as bragging or being pushy.
Exactly. It's about believing in what you offer and understanding that people need to know about it to benefit from it.
Well, file #9. Bigger than their problems versus smaller than their problems. This is about resilience, right? How you handle adversity.
Absolutely. The idea is that successful people don't necessarily have fewer problems. They just see themselves as capable of handling bigger problems. They don't get crushed by challenges. They rise to meet them.
They see problems as maybe opportunities to grow stronger or smarter, whereas the smaller than mindset leads to feeling overwhelmed.
hmm It's about your perceived capacity to deal with life's inevitable curveballs.
And the last one for this mindset section, file #10. Excellent receivers versus poor receivers. This feels linked to self-worth again.
Very much so. It's about being open to receiving good things. Compliments, help, opportunities, money without guilt or feeling unworthy. The book suggests many people subconsciously block abundance because they're uncomfortable receiving.
Which is ironic, right? You want financial success, but you push away the very things that could lead to it because you feel awkward accepting them.
Precisely. If you can't receive graciously, you're essentially telling the universe no thanks to the good stuff. Wealthy people, Eker says, are comfortable receiving. They see it as a natural part of the flow of value.
Wow, okay. That covers the core mindset shifts. Now, the next set of will files, starting with #11, seem to get more into specific strategies and habits. File #11 is choose to get paid based on results versus choose to get paid based on time.
Yeah, this is a big one for how you structure your work and income. The book really pushes the idea of leverage. Instead of trading hours for a fixed amount of money, wealthy people tend to look for ways to get paid for the value or the results they produce.
Like starting a business or sales commissions or investing, things where your income isn't kept by the clock.
Exactly. It allows for scalability. You can potentially earn much more because your income isn't directly tied to the limited number of hours in a day.
Well file, #12. Think both versus think other. Moving beyond false dichotomies.
Right. It's about adopting that abundance mindset again. Instead of thinking I can have a great career or a great family life, the challenge is to find ways to have both. It's refusing to accept limiting choices.
So it encourages more creative thinking, looking for win-win solutions instead of just accepting compromises.
Precisely. Don't limit your possibilities by thinking in terms of either, when both might be achievable with some ingenuity.
Okay, file #13.
Yeah.
Focus on their net worth versus focus on their working income. This feels like a crucial shift in measurement.
It really is. Eker breaks down net worth into 4 factors. Income, savings, investments, and simplification, basically. Managing your lifestyle and expenses. Wealthy people track and manage their net worth, the whole picture, not just their paycheck.
Because you could earn a huge salary but spend it all and have nothing to show for it, right?
Yeah.
Your net worth would be low.
Exactly. Net worth gives you the real score of your financial health, much more than just income alone.
Wealth file, #14. Manage their money well versus mismanage their money well. Obvious, maybe, but he offers that specific jar system.
The jars are a tool for conscious allocation. The percentages he gives, 55% necessities, 10% financial freedom account, 10% education, 10% long-term savings, 10% play, 5% give, are just guidelines.
But the principle is the key thing.
The principle is key. Deliberately assigning every dollar a job, it forces you to be intentional about saving, investing, spending, giving, learning. It builds good habits.
So you're actively directing your money instead of just wondering where it all went at the end of the month.
Precisely. It's about taking control and making your money serve your different goals.
File #15. Have their money work hard for them versus work hard for their money. This gets into passive income, right?
Yes, this is fundamental. The goal is to shift from relying solely on your own labor for income to building assets that generate income for you, even when you're not actively working. Think investments, rental properties, businesses that run without you.
Making your money become your employee, essentially.
That's a great way to put it. It's about building systems where your capital generates more capital. That's the path to real financial freedom, according to the book.
Okay, file #16. Act in spite of fear versus let fear stop them. Back to courage and risk.
Absolutely. The message isn't don't feel fear. It's feel the fear and do it anyway. Growth opportunities, they almost always lie outside your comfort zone. Wealthy people, Eker says, understand they have to push through that fear barrier.
They don't wait for the fear to vanish before taking action.
No, because it probably never will completely vanish when you're stretching yourself. Courage is acting despite the fear. Inaction fueled by fear is often the biggest risk of all.
And the final one, wealth file, #17. Constantly learn and grow versus think they already know everything. The importance of lifelong learning.
Crucial. The world changes constantly. Markets change, technology changes. The book emphasizes that successful people remain students for life. They're always learning, adapting, improving their skills and knowledge.
Whereas thinking you've got it all figured out is a recipe for stagnation, for being left behind.
Exactly. That commitment to continuous personal development is seen as essential for long-term success and wealth building.
Okay, wow. That's a lot to digest from the 17 files. So if someone's listening and feeling inspired, what are some concrete first steps, based on the book, to actually start reprogramming that money blueprint?
Well, a huge first step is just awareness. Start really listening to your own thoughts about money. Catch those limiting beliefs as they come up. Ask yourself, is this thought actually true? Is it serving me?
So identifying the negative programming.
Yes. And then consciously choosing a more empowering belief to replace it. Use affirmations, declarations, whatever works for you to reinforce the new belief. Then, Eker really emphasizes consciously choosing your environment, seek out positive, successful people.
And the practical stuff.
Definitely setting clear financial goals. Not just vague wishes, but specific targets. And creating a budget or spending plan, the JAR system, is one way to actually track and manage your money. Maybe even journaling about your feelings around money, practicing gratitude. It all helps shift that internal state.
So it's this mix of the inner work, the mindset, the beliefs, and the outer work, the actions, the habit.
Exactly. It's an ongoing process, not a one-time fix. Cultivating that millionaire mind is a journey.
So if we boil it all down, the core message seems to be change your inner world, your beliefs, your attitude, your habits around money, and your outer financial world will start to change too.
That's the fundamental promise of the book, yes. Your external results mirror your internal landscape.
Okay, so here's something for you listening to maybe chew on. Can you identify just one limiting belief you hold about money? Just pick one that resonates. And for the next few days, whenever that thought pops into your head, just pause, challenge it. Ask yourself if it's really true for you. Or just old programming, remember Eker's metaphor. Even small shifts in those deep roots can eventually make a big difference in the fruits you see in your life.
It really does start with that first step of looking inward and being willing to question things.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for diving deep into this with us today.